Discover the incredible truth, how a hidden placenta changed a baby's life forever. In the small, quiet town of Maplewood, a storm brewed within 24-year-old Laura when she found herself grappling not just with the sleepless nights of motherhood but with a secret lying deep within her. Laura held her newborn son, Ethan, in the crook of her arm, trying to soothe him with a gentle hum. The soothing thrum of life pulsed through her, yet doubt clawed at her heart. How could she provide for him? Would her love be enough to overcome the challenges that loomed ever closer? The walls of her cozy but worn-down home whispered stories of resilience while the shadow of looming financial struggles chased her like a relentless storm. Each creak of the floorboards echoed the weight of responsibility she felt, raising Ethan alone with her fierce yet daunting grandmother by her side. The town felt small and heavy with the expectations of community, speaking their judgment in quiet, knowing glances and hushed conversations. It all gnawed at Laura's spirit. As the months ticked by, this was about survival, not just for her, but for the sweet baby whose laughter danced like sunlight in their dark moments. Everything changed one fateful evening when a simple routine check turned deadly. Laura arrived at Maplewood General, greeted by the sterile air that intertwined hope and fear. She could feel the endless spectrum of emotions under the fluorescent lights. As the doctor delivered the news, the walls pressed in around her. An undiagnosed hidden placenta condition loomed over her like a dark cloud, threatening both her life and the life of her precious son. The gravity of the revelation crashed into her, stealing her breath and igniting a blazing fire of resilience deep within her gut. She would fight. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As weeks passed, hospital bills began to stack like burdens on her shoulders. Anxiety twisted in her stomach, creating a tightness that made it hard to breathe. How could she handle this burden? Waves of shame crashed over her, and the self-doubt grew stronger with each visit to the doctor. But as Laura spent time with her grandmother, the woman who had raised her with unwavering strength, old family stories began to surface, imbued with love and pain. They painted a picture of courage that glimmered through the bitterness between them. With each shared moment, a community guarded them, pooling together in kindness. Friends and neighbors arrived with meals, enveloping Laura in a warmth that melted the self-imposed barriers she had built. As she and her grandmother waded through unspoken desires and sorrows, they rekindled their connection. Perhaps hidden truths were finally ready to be unearthed. But just when hope began to paint the corners of her heart, the weight of looming uncertainty settled in once more. Would accepting help bring the relief she craved or unravel the delicate thread that held them together? Laura could feel the precipice approaching. Would she stand tall with courage, breaking the cycles of fear? The battle of her heart grew ever fiercer, the stakes higher than ever before. Could love and strength ultimately outweigh the shadows of despair? The unanswered questions left lingering in the air, begging to be explored in the next chapter of her new life, echoed with the promise of both heartbreak and hope. Laura woke the next morning to sunlight filtering through the worn curtains, illuminating the small room in a soft golden glow. It felt like a blessing, a reminder that life continued unfazed despite the turbulence surrounding her. Ethan lay sleeping peacefully, his tiny fists curled up by his cheeks. Laura felt that familiar swell of love, punctuated by lingering worry. Her thoughts spiraled, caught between gratitude for the life she held and fear of what could still go wrong. The phone rang, jolting her from her thoughts. Startled, she fumbled to answer, her heart racing. It was the hospital, issuing a follow-up call about her recent appointment. They wanted to schedule an ultrasound. Sweat beaded on her forehead. Another test, another chance to confront her looming nightmares. Okay, she said, her voice trembling. When? As she hung up, a surge of isolation washed over her. A mother's strength was supposed to shine regardless of any trials, wasn't it? But here she was, trepidation anchoring her down. Even as friends and neighbors extended their hands, she felt on the outside, peering in at the fears they couldn't understand. Determined not to let negativity poison her day, Laura dressed quickly, cradling Ethan as she made her way to the kitchen. The familiar aroma of coffee filled the air, igniting tiny flickers of normalcy. She carefully placed Ethan in his crib, allowing him to explore the soft edges of the world around him. Lost in his wonder, she found a moment of peace. Grandma shuffled in, her worn slippers whispering against the floor. "You're up early," she remarked softly. The lines of concern were etched deep on her face, yet a hint of maternal warmth shone through. "Just catching some quiet time," Laura replied, trying to muster a smile. "Good," her grandmother nodded. "You need it." The two exchanged glances, a silent understanding passing between them. The weight of their shared life loomed heavy, yet it was burdened with an undeniable bond. Even in the silence, the air crackled with stories waiting to be told. As they sat down for breakfast, Laura realized how much she craved these connections, the ones rooted in shared experiences and laughter. Together they reminisced about times when life had felt insurmountable yet surmountable through their love and determination. Each memory ignited flickers of hope, urging her to believe that she too could rewrite her own story. After breakfast, gratitude transformed into action as Laura ventured into town. They had been blessed with a community that cared. Maybe it was time to embrace that community more fully. She wandered into the small grocery store, where families bustled about, children dashing with delight. The familiar faces greeted her, offering kind smiles and sometimes gentle words of encouragement that wrapped around her like a warm blanket. Suddenly, one of her neighbors, Mrs. Henderson, approached her, holding a bouquet of wildflowers. "Laura, we're having a little get-together this weekend. You and Ethan should come." Laura hesitated. The idea of joining a gathering felt daunting. Would she be able to reveal her struggles without crumbling? But looking at the cheerful blooms, a spark ignited within her. "I'd love to," she found herself saying. The prospect seemed to peel away layers of fear, replacing them with a little bit of hope and a community that, despite its flaws, stood ready to support her. As Laura returned home, she couldn't shake off the feeling that she was on the verge of something significant. Would this evening bring her the courage she sought, or would it unravel the threads holding her fragile piece together? Whatever awaited her felt like an unknown adventure, and she was ready to embrace it. Little did she know, a chance encounter at that gathering would change everything. The sun dipped low in the sky as Laura prepared for the gathering that evening. She smoothed out the wrinkles in her favorite blue dress, taking a moment to admire the way it reminded her of laughter-filled summers with friends. It felt good to step away from the worries, even if just for a few hours. Ethan was playing quietly in his crib, captivated by the colorful mobile spinning above him. Laura watched him, her heart swelling with affection. How could she possibly put into words the overwhelming mix of emotions she felt? Love, hope, fear all intertwined in an intricate web as she turned to face the challenges ahead. "Are you ready, sweet girl?" Grandma asked, peeking into the room. "I think so," Laura replied, though her voice wavered slightly. The thought of stepping into a crowd made her stomach twist. "Just need to get Ethan into the car." "Let me help you." Grandma's gentle hand rested on her back, and together they gathered the essentials: diaper bag, bottle, and Ethan's favorite stuffed bunny. Each item felt like armor against the uncertainty outside their home. As they drove to Mrs. Henderson's house, the soft hum of the engine seemed to echo her mixed feelings. She had always enjoyed socializing but had never been one to draw attention. What waited for her in that inviting house? Would her heart unravel in front of others, revealing the fears she had kept hidden? When they arrived, laughter floated through the air, mingling with the scent of grilled burgers and fresh-cut grass. Laura stepped out of the car, taking a deep breath and letting the warmth envelop her. Vivid decorations lined the yard, and she spotted a group of familiar faces speaking easily, sharing stories. Ethan cooed softly as Grandma settled him in her arms. "You're going to be just fine," Grandma whispered in Laura's ear, her voice a balm on Laura's nerves. As they approached the gathering, Mrs. Henderson rushed forward, arms outstretched. "There you are. I'm so glad you made it." Her enthusiasm was contagious, washing over Laura like a soothing tide. Laura smiled, tension beginning to dissipate. There was something about the genuine spirit of the moment that urged her to let go of her defensive barriers. Conversation flowed, laughter erupted, and as the sun dipped lower, warmth spread through the crowd like a promise of connection. A few neighbors approached her, each offering their own encouragements. "You've been so strong, Laura. We're all here for you." The words planted tiny seeds of comfort. She could sense a shift within herself, as if the walls she had built could begin to crack just a little. Then, unexpectedly, she found herself speaking with Mr. Turner, a veteran with kind eyes and warm hands. In the past, he was known for his no-nonsense demeanor, often lost in his thoughts. But tonight, he leaned in, sharing a personal story of his own battles. "Life throws curveballs at us, doesn't it?" he said, his voice deep and steady. "But it's how we swing at those balls that really matters." Laura met his gaze, feeling a flicker of understanding. She realized that everyone carried their own burdens, whether visible or hidden. Their struggles didn't diminish her own, instead, they formed a bridge. Before she knew it, laughter bubbled up from within her. An unexpected joy, a connection growing in authenticity. Just as she felt ready to fully let go, a sudden murmur swept through the crowd. A phrase caught her attention, "hidden placenta." She leaned closer, curiosity piqued. Was it someone talking about a pregnancy complication? As she listened intently, the pieces started to fall into place. It seemed to be a story of resilience, survival, and a revelation that could hold the key to understanding her own struggles. How could something so hidden impact a life so profoundly? Her heart raced as she thought of Ethan, of her own journey, and what might unfold next. What incredible truth was waiting to be revealed? Laura felt her pulse quicken as she took in the words drifting through the air. Hidden placenta. The phrase echoed in her mind, a riddle waiting to be solved. Who was it about? Was it someone at the party? She turned her gaze toward a small group huddled together near the edge of the yard, their expressions serious, a stark contrast to the cheerful gathering. Curiosity sparked within her, an urge to understand. For a moment, she stepped back from the laughter and camaraderie, crossing the threshold into a space that felt heavier. The energetic ambience seemed to blur around her. What if it's harmful? The voice belonged to Sarah, a well-respected nurse in the community. It can lead to complications if not discovered in time. Her demeanor was uncharacteristically grave, and Laura's heart sank. Every word Sarah spoke felt like a thread drawing her in closer. She hadn't known much about complications during pregnancy. Her own experience with Ethan had come with its fair share of surprises, but none so alarming as what was being shared now. "Many families don't even know until it's too late," replied another voice, low and cautious. Laura strained to hear. "It's just so hidden, but it can impact everything." Hidden, the word took on a life of its own in Laura's mind. Her own fears, her worries about Ethan and his future, they felt concealed beneath a surface of laughter and warm embraces. She approached the group uneasily, trying to gauge their expressions while wrestling with her thoughts. What were their stories? Did they, too, carry burdens that felt hidden? As she drew nearer, the conversation shifted toward hope. "But the important thing is awareness," said a tall man with a gentle face. "Being informed means we can act, and that can make all the difference." Laura's breath caught. Act. That resonated with her, stirring something deep within. She wanted to be informed, to understand the challenges that lay before her as a mother. In the swirl of voices, Mrs. Henderson's laughter broke through, drawing her attention back to the merriment. It was a warm reminder of the community surrounding her, lifting each other up in times of struggle. But how much of that warmth was truly shared? And how many hearts were hiding their own struggles in the shadows? "Laura." Grandma called out, beckoning her over with Ethan. "Come here. They're handing out dessert. I got your favorite." Laura glanced back at the group, the urgency temporarily fading. A fleeting smile crossed her face, tempted by Grandma's unyielding spirit. But just as she turned away, Sarah's voice pulled her back. "Just think about how powerful connection can be. That one sentence opened a door in Laura's heart. Connection. It resonated with everything she felt tonight. She wanted to be part of that, to not only share her own fears but to ease the hidden struggles of others. But first, she needed to understand her own. With her heart still racing, Laura stepped away from the group, back toward Grandma and Ethan. She felt the burden of uncertainty lighten slightly. Hope flickered a small flame in the vast unknown. She could embrace each moment, be open about her journey with all its complexities. As the stars began to sprinkle the night sky, a warmth enveloped her once more. But just as she settled into the comfort of the crowd, her gaze caught Ethan's small form snuggled in Grandma's arms. What lay ahead for them both? The murmur of stories swirled around her, but one thought anchored in her mind. What if being brave meant unveiling every hidden truth? With her heart brimming with questions and a swirl of emotions, she gazed at the vibrant crowd. What unspoken stories were waiting to unfold? What did she really need to learn about her own path forward? And then, a voice within her answered. Something incredible was just around the corner. As Laura settled beside Grandma, the warmth of the early summer night wrapped around her like a comforting blanket. The laughter and joy of the party danced all around her, making it easy to forget the heaviness that still lingered in her heart. She let the sounds wash over her as her attention turned back to Ethan, snugly nestled against Grandma. His small hand reached up, instinctively finding her fingers, and in that moment, everything felt right. Yet, the talk about the hidden placenta nagged at her thoughts. What did it mean? Was it a warning of something sinister, lurking just beneath the surface? The phrase kept echoing like a song stuck on repeat. Was it possible that there were hidden struggles within her own family, connections that hadn't been addressed? Want some cake, sweetheart? Grandma offered, her eyes sparkling, as if trying to distract Laura from the turmoil within. Laura smiled in appreciation, but her mind buzzed with unanswered questions about the world and the lives intermingling in that backyard. Yeah, I'd love some. She replied, trying to inject genuine enthusiasm into her voice. As Grandma rose to get the dessert, Laura surveyed the yard. Friends, laughter, the twinkling lights strung above everything looked picturesque, but the shadows reminded her of the weight behind the smiles. Was everyone as happy as they seemed? A soft voice broke her thoughts. Hey, Laura, it was Sarah, leaving the small group she had been with. Her face bore that same serious expression, but there was a gentleness to her demeanor now. I wanted to check in with you. We've been discussing some sensitive topics. Yeah, I noticed, Laura said, her throat tightening. It's a lot to take in. That it is, Sarah replied, her eyes searching Laura's. I can see that you care deeply about your son. Have you had any complications during your pregnancy? There was an earnestness in her voice, a sincerity that made Laura feel seen. No, not really, Laura said, instantly defensive, but then she hesitated. I mean, not that I know of. The admission felt strange, almost like admitting a hidden fear. In this moment, she started to understand that she had to confront those hidden truths. Awareness is so important, Sarah said quietly. Even if everything seems okay on the surface, it's the beneath that can be concerning. Sometimes, it's about just having conversations. Laura nodded, her insides swirling. She hugged Ethan closer to her, almost protective. It's scary to think of what could happen without us even knowing. Her voice trailed off. But think of the power of connection, Sarah encouraged, almost coaxingly. Talking about these things can change lives. Laura's heartbeats quickened. She looked around at the people, their laughter, their bright faces, their stories hidden in the background. What if sharing her own fears, her own struggles, could help someone else? Perhaps it was time for her to be brave and unveil her own hidden concerns. Before she could dwell too long on that thought, Grandma returned, holding 2 plates of cake and beaming. Here you go. She handed one to Laura, her face full of delight. A big slice, just for you. Oh my goodness, thanks, Grandma. Laura grinned, the taste of sweetness ready to distract her, yet her mind was still whirling. I want you to enjoy your evening, Grandma exclaimed. You deserve it. But do you know what's even more important? Laura raised her eyebrow, curious. Sharing with others. Making sure those around us feel loved, especially family. Those words struck a chord deep within Laura's heart. As they shared a piece of cake, the question hung in the air: what truths remained unspoken in this community filled with laughter? What connections were waiting to be forged? With a small yet determined smile, Laura felt her resolve harden. She would face the shadows, her own fears, and perhaps, in turn, help others unveil their truths. As she looked back at the vibrant crowd, a thought ignited inside her: what if everyone else was also waiting for that spark of bravery? And just then, she caught a glimpse of Sarah speaking quietly to the man with the gentle face. Intrigued, Laura wondered about the threads weaving their stories together. What else was hidden, and what would it take for the truth to come out? Laura took a deep breath, the sweet taste of cake momentarily boosting her spirits. But as she watched the gathering, the laughter felt like a thin veil. Each giggle and cheer echoed back to her unresolved worries. She stole another glance at Sarah, who now appeared to be deep in conversation with the man. What were they discussing that seemed so serious amidst the joy? The gentle warmth of the summer night contrasted sharply with the chill creeping into her heart. Beside her, Ethan squirmed a bit, pulling her back to the present. She brushed a lock of hair from his forehead, marveling at his innocence. Would he be able to enjoy such carefree moments? The thought conjured fears she longed to banish. "Do you think everyone is okay?" she whispered to Grandma, who was busy savoring her own slice of cake. Grandma paused, looking up with a knowing smile. "Oh honey, we all have our hidden battles. It's easy to forget that beneath the surface, there are stories longing to be told. Trust me." The wisdom in her voice rang true, and Laura felt both comforted and burdened. Just then, a loud burst of laughter rang out from across the yard. A group gathered around a game, their mirth spilling over like bubbly soda. She caught Ethan's eager gaze, and his delight was infectious. If only things could stay simple for him, she thought. With sudden courage, Laura set her plate down. She cleared her throat, drawing the eyes of the small crowd that had gathered nearby. "Can I have everyone's attention for a second?" she called out, her voice shaky but filled with determination. The laughter softened, heads turned, and the vibrant conversations hushed. I just wanted to say sometimes we don't talk about things we should. I know I've been." Her heart raced as a wave of vulnerability washed over her. "Worried. About my pregnancy, and about what it all means. I guess I want to say that if anyone else feels that way, we should talk about it." A hush fell across the group. Silence thickened in the air. But then, someone clapped, and another joined in, sparks of appreciation lighting the atmosphere. It warmed Laura's heart. Here she was, standing amongst people she cared about, being brave enough to share her fears. "Thank you for that," Sarah chimed in. "It's so true. We often keep things bottled up, don't we? But there's strength in sharing." Her eyes shone with understanding. For a few moments, the ambience shifted. It was as if Laura had opened a door, allowing the cool breeze of honesty to flow in, mingling with the hot, sticky air of summer joy. Gradually, people began to share their stories, whispers of fear and hidden struggles merging with laughter as they unfolded. "I didn't think I was going to be a good parent," one woman confessed, her voice laced with vulnerability. "I've worried constantly." Murmurs of reassurance spread like a comforting wave. Laura smiled, the weight on her shoulders lifting a little. It felt liberating. But it also stirred something deep inside, an ember of curiosity. If this was just the beginning, what else lay beneath the surface? As the evening progressed, she felt more connected to everyone around her. Their worries, their laughter, it was a tapestry of shared human experience threaded with emotion. Yet, in the corners of her mind, the vision of Sarah speaking to the man persisted. Just as the sky began turning to indigo, lit with stars, she leaned closer to Grandma. Who was that man Sarah was talking to? "Ah, that's Thomas," Grandma replied, eyes twinkling. "You'll find he has a story of his own. A past that still haunts him. Laura's heart raced. What had he experienced? More importantly, what truths would come tumbling forth next? The evening held so many secrets, and a tangle of questions swirled in her mind. It felt like something big was about to unfold. What if those hidden stories held the keys to deeper connections they hadn't yet realized? As laughter echoed in the night, Laura felt the stirrings of discovery within her. She had started to unveil her own truths, but what other revelations were waiting just beyond the horizon? As laughter faded into softer conversations, Laura's mind raced. She couldn't shake the thought of Thomas and the mysteries he carried. Who was he really? The air around her buzzed with a newfound energy, and she felt her confidence swell. It was funny how one step towards vulnerability could shift the entire mood of a gathering. Ethan tugged at her sleeve, breaking her thoughts. "Can I have some more cake, Mom?" His eyes sparkled with excitement, oblivious to the deeper currents swirling just beneath the surface. "Of course, sweetheart," Laura replied, ruffling his hair as she moved toward the dessert table. She served him another slice, the frosting gleaming just as brightly as his grin. But her thoughts were still with Sarah and Thomas. "The last time I saw Thomas was years ago at a family reunion," Grandma said, approaching from behind. "He was different then. Lost in his own world. But now? He's trying to make amends." Laura looked up, surprised. "Make amends? For what?" "Haunted by choices, dear," Grandma replied with a knowing nod, her voice touchingly gentle. The enigmatic past of Thomas intrigued Laura even more. The conversations continued to flow. Laughter accompanied confessions of self-doubt and fear, creating a safe haven among friends. She observed couples relying on each other, their palms intertwined, and friends sharing bold plans for the future, unearthing joy and relief. It was a reminder that everyone had their hidden stories, their shaded truths. But somewhere in the back of her mind, Laura felt the urgency growing, a desire to uncover more about Thomas, but also to dig deeper into her own feelings. What did her pregnancy mean not just for her, but for everyone around her? Through the night's warmth, a chill ran down her spine as she spotted Sarah again, her laughter ringing like bells. She was now leaning against Thomas, her head thrown back, eyes sparkling with mirth. Yet, the way Thomas looked at Sarah, it sent a bolt of jealousy through Laura. Was there more there than met the eye? "Hey, Laura," Sarah called, breaking into her spiral of thoughts. "Join us." Laura hesitated but felt a pull. She grabbed Ethan's hand and walked over, her heart racing. She was torn between fear and curiosity. As they approached, she caught snippets of their conversation. They spoke of shared history, laughter interspersed with subtle glances that spoke volumes. "Laura, Thomas was just telling me about his recent trip," Sarah said with enthusiasm. "You have to hear this." Thomas turned to her, his eyes steady yet vulnerable. "I went to some old haunts from my childhood," he began, but before he could elaborate, he hesitated, as if the weight of unsaid words lingered in the air. "It made me think about family, the choices we make." His tone shifted, something deep within Laura. It resonated with her worries, her questions about what it meant to raise a child. "Family and choices," she echoed softly, feeling the weight of his statement like a stone in her stomach. Suddenly, the conversation swirled around her. Thomas shared tales that tugged at the heartstrings, stories of misplaced time and realizing what was truly important. Each revelation danced around her, connecting their lives in unexpected ways. Laura was transfixed, longing to join the conversation but not knowing how to begin. Out of the corner of her eye, she noticed Ethan playing with a group of kids, laughter spilling effortlessly from him. A fleeting thought crossed her mind: what if she could create an environment where secrets became stories, where fear turned into freedom? But Thomas was watching her closely. "I think there are things worth sharing, don't you?" His gaze held a promise. Did he know what lay beneath her skin? As the stars twinkled above, Laura saw the door to deeper connections swing open, but a knot of apprehension gripped her. Could she truly step through it? Opening up could change everything, but was she ready to face whatever lay behind? A silence fell, heavy with potential. With every heartbeat, her chest tightened and her thoughts raced. What if unveiling their stories could unravel more than they anticipated? What other hidden truths lay hidden not just in Thomas's past but in each of their futures? A whisper of possibilities hung in the air, and she knew this was just the beginning. The moment lingered, thick with unspoken words, hanging in the air like the fragrant scent of the evening's barbecue. Laura could feel the heat from the grill as she glanced over at Ethan, his laughter blending with the buzz of voices around her. The rush of desire to know more about Thomas, to peel back the layers, collided with a fear she wasn't ready to confront. "Are you okay?" Sarah's voice, vibrant and light, broke through her reverie. "You seem a bit out of it." "I'm fine," Laura said, forcing a smile, but it felt more like a mask than genuine amusement. "Just thinking about Thomas?" Sarah's eyes sparkled with mischief, her tone teasing yet soft. "He's really different now, isn't he? So much more present. When he talks, I feel like he means it." Laura's heart sank. Present. There it was, the word that encapsulated everything she wasn't. Was she present for Ethan? For herself? With a quiet sigh, she pulled her focus back to the easy chatter around them. It felt safe, cocooned in their laughter and stories. But beneath it all, an overwhelming urge gripped her, the need to reach out, to connect. "Yeah, he does," Laura replied, trying for nonchalance as she cast another glance at Thomas. He was animatedly recounting a story, his gestures enthusiastic, the lines on his face deepening with every excited word. It was mesmerizing. Each laugh that escaped from Sarah felt like a knife twisting in Laura's gut. It wasn't jealousy alone, it was the weight of knowing that profound connections were out there, just waiting to unfold. A sudden burst of giggles erupted from Ethan, causing Laura to turn. He was in the midst of a playful scuffle with a couple of other kids, their laughter mingling with the evening air. The innocence of that joy didn't go unnoticed by her heart. It sparked something within, the reminder that her own joy had been stifled beneath layers of fear and doubt. "Want to know something?" Sarah leaned in, her voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. "Thomas mentioned that he's not really here just to catch up. There's something he wants to confess." Laura's breath caught in her throat. "What do you mean? A confession?" "Yeah." He kept looking around as if he was waiting for the right moment. "I thought it was just my imagination, but now I'm curious. What do you think he wants to say?" The curiosity danced dangerously close to the edge of her heart. What if Thomas's confession held a key to something deeper? To understanding his choices? To revealing pieces of her own truth? "Actually, I could use a drink," Laura replied, her voice wavering slightly as she desperately tried to ground herself. "Want me to grab you something?" "Nah, I'm good. I'll just sit and enjoy the show." Sarah winked, her focus returning to Thomas, while Laura felt a surge of energy push her feet forward, navigating through the chatter. As she approached the counter, her pulse raced. Would she have the courage to ask Thomas about his past? To delve into those invisible scars? "Laura." She turned, startled to find Thomas standing beside her, the warmth of his presence wrapping around her. "Can we talk? Just for a moment?" That ask ignited a whirlpool of emotions. Time seemed to suspend, every option visible yet intimidating. Sure," she managed, her voice faltering. They stepped aside, the sounds of the gathering fading into a hum. Thomas's expression was earnest, the weight of his thoughts palpable. I wanted to tell you about the choices I made that led me here, to this moment." The power of his words struck her squarely in the chest. Every ounce of hesitation she had melted away under the heat of vulnerability. What truths lay in wait? As the evening darkness enveloped them, Laura felt the first tentative flickers of hope. Was she ready to embrace whatever revelation awaited them? And in that moment, she realized, the night was destined for more than just laughter and cake. The unveiling of truths was right at her fingertips. What would they discover together? Laura's heart raced as she studied Thomas's face. The earnestness etched on his features made her pulse quicken. How had they arrived at this moment? She could feel a strange tension in the air, like a taut violin string waiting to be plucked. I appreciate you asking to talk, Thomas began, his voice steady yet low. There's so much I haven't shared. I thought avoiding it might keep things simple, but I see now that it's made me feel distant. From you. From everyone. His words felt like a mirror reflecting her own struggles. She was doing the same dance, masking her insecurities with layers of distraction. You're right, Laura admitted, forcing herself to maintain eye contact. We have all been keeping things inside. What's on your mind? Thomas took a deep breath, his gaze dropping momentarily before meeting hers again. It's about my past, he revealed, his voice trembling slightly. I made some choices that changed everything for me. It was either running away or facing the truth. I chose to run. Until now. Laura felt a flutter in her stomach. Would sharing his truth bring them closer or push them apart? What happened? She whispered, her voice a mixture of concern and curiosity. He hesitated, his eyes softening. I thought I had it all figured out. But when I lost my job and he paused, a flicker of pain crossing his face. And the love of my life, it all shattered. I didn't know how to reach out. I felt like I had failed on so many levels. Laura felt the weight of his words pressing down on them. Her heart ached for him. You weren't a failure, Thomas. You were human. Everyone makes mistakes, and sometimes they lead us to unexpected places. Maybe, he replied, but doubt lingered in his eyes. Still, I wish I had been braver. Instead, I ended up in a cycle of regret. Coming here tonight, it's an attempt to start fresh. To reconnect. To seek forgiveness. She sensed the vulnerability in his confession. There was strength in admitting one's weaknesses, but also a vulnerability that could potentially expose them to further pain. How often did she wrestle with the same fears? She wanted to reach out to tell him it was okay. But her own fears paralyzed her. What if reconnecting changes everything? She said softly, her voice filled with uncertainty. What if it complicates things more? Thomas stepped closer, earnestness radiating from him. It could. But it could also open up new paths, right? There's so much left unexplored between us, but it takes honesty to uncover it all. Laura felt a flutter of possibility too, but it clashed with the weight of her own realities. Could she face her own struggles while supporting him? Thomas, she took a breath, grounding herself. How can we rebuild if we're both afraid to face our own truths? His eyes bore into hers, filled with something raw and complicated. Maybe it starts with small steps. Sharing parts of ourselves that we keep hidden. I want to try, if you do. The hum of laughter from the gathering faded as they stood there. Could this be the beginning of a new chapter for them both? The lights of the party felt distant, the warmth of connection drawing them in close. As Laura weighed his words and the weight of her own emotions swirled, a flicker of hope ignited deep within her. Could this be the moment when they both chose to be present, to embrace their messy truths together? But just then, a shout from the party broke the tension. Laura turned to see Ethan racing towards them with his arm raised, shouting, "Mom! You've got to see this." The interruption jolted her back to the moment and pulled Thomas away. As they turned, an unsettling thought nagged at Laura. Could she truly face what they were starting to uncover? Would she have the courage to uncover her own truth? With the shadows of doubt creeping back, she followed Ethan, wondering what would come next. The night had only just begun, but it felt like they were standing on the precipice of something much bigger. What other revelations lay in store for them as the night unfolded? Would they finally uncover the layers they had hidden from each other? As the laughter from the gathering faded into the background, Laura felt like she was walking through a dream. The night was alive with possibilities and uncertainty swirled around her like a gently swirling wind. Ethan tugged her toward the group of kids who were roaring with laughter, but deep inside, she was more interested in the truths that were beginning to emerge. "Mom, look!" Ethan shouted, pointing at a makeshift fort the kids had built with chairs and blankets. His excitement bubbled over, lighting up her heavy heart. "Wow, buddy. That's amazing," Laura replied, forcing a smile as she kneeled to study the creation. But even that spark of joy was intertwined with her worries about the conversations she had just shared with Thomas. Could they truly forge connections while wrestling with all this fear? "Come inside." Ethan beckoned, his excitement contagious. She couldn't resist. Crawling into the fort, surrounded by bright giggles, she allowed herself a few fleeting moments of pure joy. The noise faded to a soft hum, and laughter became the melody of the evening, allowing her to momentarily forget everything else. But as she played, she felt a pull back toward the unfolding stories around her, those threads of connection weaving between neighbors, whispers of truths shared under the blanket of night. What had felt so heavy moments ago now felt like a weight worth lifting, together. "Can I join you?" came a voice from outside the fort. It was Sarah. Laura's heart swelled with a mix of gratitude and curiosity. Maybe Sarah's presence would help lighten the load. "Of course," she exclaimed, waving her in. The warmth of the fort enveloped them as they huddled together, the outside world fading away. "You guys should hear this," Sarah said, her eyes shining. "I just found out that Thomas has been working with a support group, helping others connect over their struggles. It's beautiful how he's turning things around." Laura felt her heart flutter, a knot of admiration mingling with the excitement of hope. "He really is different," she observed. I think he's starting to show up for people now. That takes so much courage." "Just like you did tonight," Sarah nodded. "You spoke up." "That's a big step, Laura." I could see it shift the energy in the whole place. As she looked into Sarah's encouraging eyes, she felt the echo of those heartfelt confessions. "It felt important, but scary," Laura admitted. "What if I let people down by sharing what I'm going through?" "Listen," Sarah said, leaning in closer. "Every time we choose to be vulnerable, we open a door for others to do the same. That moment of honesty creates a ripple effect. It's about not carrying everything alone, it's about sharing burdens and lifting each other up." The realization buzzed in Laura's mind like bright fireworks. By unveiling her own difficulties, she encouraged others to do the same. It reminded her of the warmth and support she felt from her community, including her grandmother and newfound friends who became more than distant faces. One conversation at a time, she whispered to herself, feeling a sense of calm wash over her. Ethan peeked out of the fort, his face glowing with excitement. "I made a castle, Mom. Let's build it bigger." "Okay, King Ethan," she replied, laughter erupting as she crawled out, ready to help him build. But as they stacked blocks together, Laura's mind started spinning with thoughts of Thomas and the truths waiting to unfold. After a while, curiosity stirred within her again, coaxing her toward a conversation with Thomas. "Ethan, can you stay in the fort for a little while?" "I'll be right back," she said, leaning down to plant a kiss on his forehead. "Okay, Mom," he replied, jumping back into play. With purpose, she stepped away, weaving through the gathering that felt more welcoming than ever. There was an undeniable sense of unity in the air, and Laura felt a surge of determination. She sought out Thomas, who stood under the fairy lights, his gaze darting around thoughtfully, as if pondering the weight of everyone's unshared struggles. "Can I talk to you?" she started, her voice steady despite the little voice of doubt creeping in. "Of course," he replied, a genuine smile lighting up his face. But there was something deeper in his eyes, a promise of connection that sent electricity through her. "About your confession," she said, gathering her courage. "I want to understand. I want to be part of this discovery with you." The vulnerability that hung between them now felt like a thread tethering them together. "It's scary to expose ourselves, but I think we can do it," Thomas admitted, his voice sincere as he stepped closer. They stood there, surrounded by the warmth of kindred spirits sharing laughter and light. Mixing colors of joy and vulnerability, Laura sensed that there was hope on the horizon. "Together then?" she asked. "Together," he affirmed, his voice steady. The commitment to embrace their truths marked the beginning of something powerful. Finally, they were ready to turn burdens into stories while lifting each other toward brighter tomorrows. As the stars twinkled in the sky and the laughter danced through the night, Laura felt a new sense of courage. Their truths would intertwine with each other, sewing friendships and bonds that would heal them both. In this tapestry of connection, hope glimmered like the stars above, filled with potential and possibility. And in that moment, they both understood it wasn't just about revealing hidden aloe. It was about transforming the world around them through acceptance and understanding. As the night wore on, she knew that revelations lay ahead. They would dive deeper together, bringing not just themselves, but the community of Maplewood along for the ride. Together, they would transform hidden secrets into stories of strength, resilience, and ultimately, love. That was the incredible truth of what was beginning to unfold. Together, they had the power to change everything. Now, my friends, this is the moment to show your support. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Hit that like button now to feed the algorithm. Comment your reactions and feelings about this inspiring transformation. And share this video instantly with at least 5 friends who need to see this incredible journey. Don't wait not even one more second to share. True fans know just how important it is to support the channel through these actions.